Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, The Hill Report. Sparks flew in a Senate hearing as Adam Schiff grilled Michael Blanche, Trump's deputy AG nominee. Blanche admitted he still has an attorney-client relationship with Trump, dodged key questions about conflicts of interest, and refused to commit to preserving evidence. Should Blanche recuse himself from Trump-related cases? Schiff says, yes. Blanche won't say. Watch this breakdown and decide for yourself. Subscribe for more political deep dives. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. Should Blanche step aside? This one got heated.
From our mutual friends, I am gravely concerned in listening to your testimony, the degree to which you sound like you're still representing Donald Trump as his lawyer. Your criticism of the department, for example, filing a superseding indictment in the January 6th prosecution after a Supreme Court case so that the indictment would conform with that opinion, is the kind of objection I would expect to hear from a criminal defense lawyer, not the kind of statement I would expect to hear from a deputy attorney general. So let me just ask you, you have not been confirmed yet. Are you still Donald Trump's lawyer?
I mean, yes, my attorney-client relationship with President Trump remains, yes. The cases I was representing him on, to the extent that there's anything going on like the appeal in Manhattan, I'm not part of that.
But you're still representing him as you sit here today.
Well, I mean, representing him, there's no active matters. So
Correct, but you're still his lawyer.
I have an attorney-client relationship with President Trump.
And even if you're confirmed and you're no longer representing him as a criminal defendant, even then you still have continuing moral obligations as a member of the bar, legal obligations, to your former client, correct?
Like everybody at the Department of Justice with every one of their former clients.
Correct. So you'd have a continuing duty of loyalty and confidentiality when it comes to his communications, correct?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Bondi, as Attorney General, one of her first acts, established the Orwellian-sounding weaponization working group. In her memo, it says that the work of this weaponization group will be supported by the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. That is the office that you will occupy. Would you agree that it would be a blatant conflict of interest as his criminal defense lawyer, as someone who has a continuing legal obligation to him as a former client, for you to participate in any of the work of that group as it pertains to the January 6th case that you represented him, or the Mar-a-Lago case where you represent him, or Alvin Bragg's office where you represent him? You would agree that that would be a very blatant conflict of interest?
I don't necessarily agree with that. There will be a conflict of interest potentially, but I quibble with the word blatant, and it depends on.
Okay.
I mean, I
take out the word blatant, but isn't it a clear conflict of interest? You've represented him in these cases. You acknowledge you still have a continuing obligation to him in these cases. How could you possibly oversee an investigation or review of the prosecutors in these cases when you handled them? How is that not the most obvious conflict of interest?
I am not saying I can or I cannot. I'm saying I'm not going to say to you today, Senator, yes, there's a blatant conflict of interest.
Well, why?
I don't know what the work is.
Well, can't you acknowledge that if you're asked to supervise cases involving your own cases, that would be a conflict of interest?
That's a very different hypothetical. Certainly.
No, it's not hypothetical. You're subject to the order of the Attorney General now to support that working group. That working group is going to look at the January 6 cases and the Mar-a-Lago case, the cases you worked on. So can you acknowledge it would be a conflict for you to oversee that work?
What I'm not acknowledging is the broad strokes you're giving it. That work, for example. There will be conflicts, and I will not violate my ethical obligations.
Well, let me just ask you with great specificity, will you recuse yourself from overseeing the January 6th case, the Mar-a-Lago case, and the Alvin Bragg case? Will you recuse yourself from the working group's supervision of those investigations?
I will follow the rules as told to me by the experts, career prosecutors in the department when it comes to every recusal.
I've heard that.
But it's true.
Well, it may be true in the abstract.
No, it's not abstract. It's true.
Well, here's the thing, Mr. Blanche, which you well know. You may very well get some opinion of an ethics lawyer appointed by the administration
I said
to tell you that you can exercise your discretion. If you believe it's a conflict, you can say you won't participate. If you don't, you can participate. So you may have discretion. So I'm asking you, how will you exercise that discretion? Will you recuse yourself from overseeing an investigation into matters where you were his lawyer? That shouldn't be hard.
You just gave a purely hypothetical, because the
No,
hypothetical you described said
this
that
is not hypothetical. This is in black and white. It says, and I will read it, I hereby establish the Weaponization Working Group, which will be led by the Office of the Attorney General and supported by the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. So this is what you're going to be asked to do. If you are given the discretion of overseeing cases in which you were his lawyer, will you recuse yourself?
It depends. The hypothetical you just described said that a career ethics attorney tells me I do not have to recuse for whatever reason. Because again, we are talking about hypotheticals. If the career Justice Department attorney says to me, you do not have to recuse yourself, I'm not going to sit here today and say that I will still say I will recuse myself.
I mean, that answers my question. You don't think it's a conflict of interest sufficient that you would sitting here today, tell me that you were.
I said.
Yeah, no, I get it. I find it remarkable where we are.
Well, you're restating something I didn't say, Senator.
No, I find it remarkable that you feel there's any world in which you could somehow participate in an investigation of people where you represented the president in that same investigation.
I didn't say that.
Well, you're not willing to commit to recusal, so that means you're willing to entertain supervising that work. So that tells me something. But let me move on, because I think you've made your position clear. Let me ask you very specifically about the Mar-a-Lago case. The Justice Department formally had recommended Volume 2 be made public. Do you support Volume 2 of the report being made public?
No.
Okay. Do you commit to preserving the evidence in both those investigations?
I commit for sure to following the law and following the rules.
But you won't commit to preserving the evidence. Let's say you have the discretion about destroying the evidence. Do you commit today to preserving the evidence in both those cases?
I commit to following the law.
Okay. And if you can't commit to preserving the evidence in those cases in which you were the defense lawyer, I think, again, that speaks to the conflict of interest that you have as the president's defense lawyer.
I did not commit to it. I said I would follow the law.
No,
I'm not sure what.
Mr. Blanche, I understand everybody's going to say generically they'll follow the law. But I've asked you a simple question about whether you will preserve evidence, and you can't say yes.
No.
You can't say yes.
I hope every single DOJ attorney, political, career, or anybody, would say they would follow the rules as it
And
regards.
I would hope that any DOJ attorney will say, I will always preserve evidence. There's no circumstance in which I will destroy evidence. That's what I would hope. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Schiff. Do you want to say what you were trying to say, or do you want me to move on?
You can move.
Big question. Will Blanche be confirmed? That's still up in the air, but this hearing definitely put pressure on the process. What do you think? Should Blanche be confirmed, or is this a conflict of interest too big to ignore? Let's talk about it in the comments. Before you go, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest political moments. Hit that like button if you found this breakdown helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay informed, stay engaged. See you next time.